All right. Thanks for sharing your story. Now
Yeah.
we go into the secret question. What is the secret to holding a team accountable to getting work done? I think this can be very valuable
Mm.
for everyone listening.
Yeah, that was my title for a long time, was an accountability coach. That's how I started in the industry of coaching. That's my last position, before starting my companies, was an accountability coach. And it was probably, they talk about the 10,000 hour rule. I think if I look back, it probably was about 10,000 hours into my coaching career that I had this epiphany. And the epiphany was, even though my title was accountability coach, the epiphany was, you can't actually hold anybody accountable. I mean, that's the truth about it. There's no Uncle Giuseppe who's gonna, well, there
Mm.
probably is, but there's no Uncle Giuseppe who's gonna come bust your kneecaps if you didn't do what you said you're gonna do. And so I had this realization, and I saw another coach who I respect posted something about this, and they posted, while I can't hold you accountable, I can hold space for you to give account.
Mm.
And that was this real like moment in my career that became defining moving forward. And it's really putting the onus of responsibility on the person who's being held accountable, that this is about you, this is not about me. So like if you're a manager, managers are kind of notorious for this. You've got your KPIs that you need to hit, and so you're driving your team to hit those KPIs. So how do you hold them accountable to do that? Put the onus on them. Now you actually do have a little bit of, you've got positional jurisdiction where you can
Mm.
fire them if they don't do their job, but very few people do that. And so I think it's really like clear cut KPIs. What is it that you're tracking? And I look at things like measure macro, but track micro. Meaning like, if you're working out, don't weigh yourself the day after you work out one time. Like, what do you think that's going to do? The scale's going to look the same.
Mm.
But you can track, how many miles did I run? How much time did I spend lifting? How many calories did I eat? Track micro, but measure macro. And I think if, for anyone who's a manager or owner, owner of a company who's got a team, that they're managing, don't make it nebulous. Like, be really, really finite in what you're tracking and expect it every single day. I think that is one of those, it's not even a secret. It's just like track it. I think Peter Drucker said, what gets measured gets managed.
Mm.
So measure and track daily, have that expectation with every one of your people. Um, and then review that on a regular basis. I like to do that bi-weekly. So every other week, I'm going to get together with my employee. We're going to pull up their tracking sheet. I look at, and there's really four parts to an accountability call. And this, I would call this kind of my magnum opus in the coaching career. After all the time that I've spent doing this, a great coaching call comes down to accountability coaching call comes down to four things. First step is review what they said they were going to do. So pull up that list. There should be a list, and it's not story time, just the facts, Jack.
Mhm.
Tell me,
Yeah.
did it get done? Did it not get done? If it didn't get done, we can set up another time to talk about how that happened, but create this like hermetically sealed case of like,
Mm.
these are the four things that are going to get done. Inescapable accountability. That's what you want to create. So in this session, first review what they said they were going to do. Okay, that's really simple. Two, review, if they're a salesperson, you're going to review their pipeline and their activities. So what are the proactive activities that you're doing? Calls, emails, personal videos, whatever it might be. What's the activity that they're doing? Review that. They should be tracking it daily, so you should be able to look at it. Third is review their calendar. So have them pull up their calendar and show you what they're doing with their time. That's pivotal because, people, and especially with the volume of remote workers there are now, like, it's how are you investing your time?
Mhm.
And then lastly, the fourth step is, what do they commit to do prior to the next call? And this, it's easy to continue to ask the question, what else? Much harder for them to fulfill on that thing that they say after you say what else. So the expectation when they commit to these things is, these will get done. Hell or high water, these things are going to get done. So that when we come to the next session and we review that the things that said are going to get done, they all got done. So that's kind of the secret from what I have
Wow.
found in my coaching career. You can't hold someone accountable, but
Mhm.
you can hold space for them to give account. And then here's this 4-step protocol to a perfect accountability session.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of self-evaluation from their side on in that approach, which is really um, yeah, it might make them feel um, guilty, right? But at the same time, empowering,
Yeah.
because they're like, okay, now I see where I'm falling short and where I can improve.
Yeah.
So,
And it doesn't take very long for that inescapable accountability to take impact, because they're going to start seeing, oh, I need to either correct my behavior or I'm going to be out of here.
mhm,
And you, as a founder or as a business owner or as a manager, you've got to have the wherewithal to say, I've created this clarity for you. If you
mhm,
choose to live outside of that, we are going to put corrective action in place. Those, hire fast, fire fast. If they are
yep,
not living up to their end of the bargain, like, and salespeople, like, if you're, that's really my specialty, is salespeople notorious for selling themselves into a position and then falling flat. Don't let that time pass. Like, keep it really, really tight rein. Now, that doesn't mean, again, measure macro. So if
mhm,
if that means that deals aren't closing, well, maybe that's just a sales cycle thing. Maybe
mhm,
that's a training thing. Like, you haven't gotten good at training salespeople. Are they doing the activity? So
mhm,
that's where that micro tracking, like, if they're doing, I'll work with a salesperson for a really long time if they're doing the activity that I think is supposed to generate the results and that they've committed to, even though the results aren't there. That's just an inevitable thing. If they're adding value in the world, they're eventually going to close deals.
yeah.